So wouldn't you know, customer comes to pick up the car and light comes back on, but this time it's not stalling, it's not creating a inconvenience like limp home mode. So when she came by to pick up the car, I wound up looking at the code. There's no other codes in the modules that's going to tell on this particular issue. Like before, you would have fault codes that are lost communication with PCM and TCM. Now it's only this watchdog code is just still it's just in there, and it's just gonna happen when the customer comes by and get their car. That's just how life works. So it seems like there may be an actual problem with this computer, and I just want to show you to verify that there's no additional codes in any other computer. So it's not shutting down the drive. It still is capable of driving. Let me see right here. Just let this populate. It's just an active code that just randomly pops up. Let me go here. I think I thought it was going to probably be a battery related problem, and when I thought about it, I'm like, well, let me just kill the voltage, put a load on the battery by leaving the high beams on, getting the voltage down to 12.3 and starting it up. That wasn't the case. Let me show you what I found though. Lost communication with the transmission control module, processor. So okay, so the other codes are gone. This is a new code, U010187. This is new. Before we had the 606. This is new. So the 606 is fixed. Why is this a thing? So pretty much the next day, well today, so yesterday was Saturday, drove it here and there last night and to the gym today, and then on the way back, it shut off in the middle of traffic. And I mean died like nothing. I mean, it will crank and rotate, but all the computer stuff would come, lights and stuff would come on. No RPM signal or anything. So I didn't touch anything. I just left it alone, waited on tow truck. We got it here, and here I am. The fuel pump is constantly running. No communication with the TCM or ECM, and I wound up looking for some sort of voltage reference that have to come from the PCM to one of these components, and I chose the EGR valve. Nothing's coming out. It was some very, very erratic signal initially, but no voltage that I recognized. So I'm gonna try to do this again with the camera rolling, but I'm gonna let you hear the fuel pump running, and I'm gonna do the complete scan, show the topology. And I found out something new. The topology only works when you're connected to some sort of internet. It doesn't naturally work on this new scan tool that I got, the MaxiSys. So if you have one of these MaxiSys here and you wonder, well, why the topology isn't working and you got this, well, make sure you're connected to the internet and you'll see it. I just found it out today myself. Didn't know until it was a mistake. So I went to the voltage reference, checked for voltage, nothing. Let me show you what I got. And before I do, I want to say that I wound up disconnecting. The only way I was able to clear that code out the computer last night was to disconnect the negative terminal, let it sit for a minute, reconnect it, and the code went away. Drove perfectly fine until 50 miles. I don't know what is it about 50 miles, but after I drove 50 miles, it just shut down. So let me show you what I got. I forgot I had this disconnected. Yeah, you can hear the fuel pump. All the lights are on. It's not starting up or anything. I'm gonna let all the lights come on. While it's doing that, let me show you. Let's hear the fuel pump. Fuel pump is just like, it's like going max. Here are all the indicators that are on. And when I go to start it, it just does nothing. No RPM signal or anything. But it'll crank. but it won't start. I'm about to put the battery on charge too. So soon as I hook up to the internet or Wi-Fi, hotspot, whatever, I'm on hotspot, that's when the topology and everything works. But I'm doing a fault scan, and you can see here that there's no communication with the ECM. It's gray. So if we go here, you'll get the inter-system, and then you'll get that message that it's unable to communicate. All right. So I'm definitely on the page where I'm just like, okay, obviously it's gonna be a computer, because I mean, if I take the fuel pump's running, the fuel pump driver ECU needs power from or confirmation from the ECM. The component here needs power from the ECM. There's no power getting sent out. If I disconnect the power source or take off a plug, you know, everything stops. You know, it stops working. So obviously it's some sort of issue internally causing this chaos. All right, I gotta go with what I know, and what I do know what works is this mass airflow sensor, because we just did a video on it, and if I did a video on it, I'm knowledgeable about it. Now before, we had 5 volts on the appropriate pins on them. Basically 3 out of 4 pins we had 5 volts. Let's see if we have 5 volts on those pins. So 1, 3, and 4 should be 5 volts. And why I'm doing this is simply because, well, allegedly our computer is the one, it's not alive. If it's not alive, then it shouldn't be dispensing any sort of voltage or commands out. And we get our 5 volt reference from the PCM. So we're only making 4 volts right now on pin 1. We're only making 4 volts on pin 3 and pin 4, which is our ambient air temp, well, our air temp sensor for the mass airflow. We're only making 4 volts also. So our 5 volt isn't strong, but it's not dropped off either. So I'm not going to sit there and assume there's another component causing this issue when we have decent 5 volts. If I recall properly, I swear when I diagnosed that Lexus, this is me, when I diagnosed that Lexus, we had 5 volt reference, but it was still offline. We're getting, and again, the biggest thing is we're getting, I want to say mixed signals, because the first one was a PCM, the second one was a TCM. Resolved the first PCM issue with the connection problem, then the TCM came with no drivability issues, and for some strange reason after 50 miles, and then everything just shut down. So I feel good about replacing the computer. Again, the fuel pump's running crazy, 5 volt reference isn't strong, and it's not being dropped off. The computer claimed that it's not active, which is going to be a network issue, and but components are trying to work. So that's what I'm like confused about. Now sometimes if the can does screw up, you can have like wonky things, but that's relative to individual to the individual manufacturer. I ain't that smart. So I got my money on a computer. Let's just put a computer in. It's going to be a few days, because it should be here Tuesday, so it's Sunday now. When it come in, we'll just pop it in and see if this issue get resolved. Hopefully this doesn't fix itself, and when I pop the computer in there, then unfortunately we'll have to find out from there if I'm right or wrong. But I feel as though I'm right. So it's Monday, it's not a Tuesday. The computer actually came in, and we had to match up those part numbers right there, 89661 number. So match those up, all of the digits. So I didn't record this last night, but I took it upon myself about 11 o'clock at night to come out and check the wiring the powers and grounds just to be on the safe side. So I felt better about it. Let me stop talking because I just want to go ahead and get this in here and see what happens and check the 5-volt reference, see if that made any changes. Or it's gonna be quiet, so I'll know if we made any significant changes when I plug everything in, because remember the fuel pump was constantly just working. Here goes nothing. Uh-oh. Why am I so anxious? Oh, fuel pump came on and went off. I got a little nervous because it came on and about stayed on, but it had primed. So that's a good sign. The fuel pump came on and went off. Let's check our 5-volt reference. Our 5 volts should legitimately be 5 volts now versus the 4 volts we had before. I gotta find a little probing thing. I'm gonna use this. Okay, now the key's in on position. I got scared again. Let's see what happens. Perfect, beautiful 5-volt reference. Beautiful 5-volt reference. And another beautiful 5-volt reference. So the fuel pump's not priming constantly. The 5-volt reference came on and went off. I'm gonna see if it started up. I don't know, I'm like literally nervous. Golly, I'm gonna start up and make sure nothing. I know I got some check engine lights on. Let me just do this. Disconnect the battery for a minute. So to do a hard reset, then we'll start it back up. That'll give me enough time to get my scan tool and get that hooked up, logged in, and we'll see if any codes are present. Okay, it's been a minute. Fuel pump primed and shutted it up. Let's just see if it started up. It's probably gonna need to program, or all the codes are going to need to be cleared. I don't know. All right, so even though there's no codes for the immobilizer, I mean, it did hit. Like when you start up, it would start up immediately and shut down. So I'm gonna see if I can re-register the key. Perform operation below. Remove the key from the cylinder. Insert the remove key into the cylinder. Turn your switch on. Remove the key from the cylinder. Insert key. Okay. Turn the ignition on. The ignition is on. Never had to program Toyota keys before, so remove master key from cylinder within 20 seconds and then press next. This is the only one I got, so hopefully this will allow me to do one. Insert the key you want program within 10 seconds. Oh, the key registration has failed. The step exceeded the limit. You want to try again? Yes. Let's see what happened. Did it do anything? Yeah. So I guess it disabled the fuel system. No big deal. Let's try it again. This function, register keys. Remove the key from the cylinder. Insert the remove key back into the cylinder. Turn ignition switch on. Okay. I'm just gonna press next, and if it don't work, then I'll let it take its own natural course. Remove the master key from the cylinder within 20 seconds, and then press next. Insert the key you want program within 10 seconds, then press next. Oh, shoot. shit. It's already registered. Okay. That's weird. Why is it not starting now? Alright, let me do this. I'm gonna see if I can implement the VIN inside of this vehicle. Yeah, so I got any immobilizer issues. I'm gonna implement the VIN in here and see if that make any changes. I thought I know it won't go auto detect. I don't know. I didn't see any codes in relation to it, so I didn't think nothing of it. Let's see what happened. Because it should be the old VIN in here. Let's launch the VIN PCM. VIN read. What VIN's in here? Because it should be the old VIN. Yeah, let me get. Hold on one second. This is a dense moment. I got the VIN down here, and here I am looking for the VIN by habit. Okay, so let me put the VIN for this vehicle in here and see if that resolves this. VIN right. Watch on DC's automatically. Alright. I'll check the conditions. I'll process it. Turn engine off. Okay. This function will overwrite VIN. Yes. Because ours is 7666 at the end. Give me a second. Alright, I got my VIN in. Please wait. The VIN has been written correctly. Alright, let's go back and see if there's any codes related to the immobilizer. And it should start up because now they're all recognizing one another. So the VIN should be, the VIN should be in here. Come on, get that code out of there. Nope. Let me shut it back. Well, that's interesting. Let me see if I can get this code gone. For some strange reason, it's not some circuit quantity reported in variant serial data. The VIN should be in the computer now. I might have to do a battery disconnect. Maybe I'll try to program the key again or something. Let me do a complete scan. So I got the car started and I got the mileage reset. But let me show you what I did. I had to look up some service information on Identifix. And the code that came up, it gave me a step-by-step procedure because I tried the other stuff and it didn't work. But it told me to ground pin 13, which is, oh gosh, I'm gonna take the camera off. There's pin 13 right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from left to right, and then there's the pin. So I grounded that and had my alligator clamp on that stud down there for 30 minutes as the directions stated. So battery charger hooked up, key in the on position, all the lights are flickering and stuff on the side. Just left it alone for 30 minutes. I didn't think it was gonna work, but everything else that I did didn't. It wouldn't allow me to program the key. Because it was already programmed, which was strange. And I put the VIN in the computer, still didn't work. So I went with this route and it worked. I'm gonna drive it, make sure everything's fine, and build my confidence back up in the functionality of this vehicle, and we'll see what happens. But the main thing is we had a constant issue. That constant issue is gone now and it's fixed. So guess what? I got 100 miles driven, no issues. 100.7 miles. I'm proud of myself. Now this is after letting the car sit for a little bit and then driving it again, and so I managed to achieve that in one day. And normally it would have messed up around 50 miles, and we all saw that. Let me show you one thing I just learned. I learned 2 different things today. So I can go to hot function and actually see if there's any codes. Was it hot function? No. Nope. It was in the control module. Go in the control module and special functions and all readiness. I did not know that I can put in the code and the computer would automatically detect it. So let me put the one, so it was P0606. I want to say, let me make sure, 61347. That's the code. It's my first time doing this. So P061347, the monitor related to the input DTC is complete and the status is normal. Checks was okay. So I wonder in the future when I go through this, if this is, I don't know if this is available, just a Toyota thing only, but I'm gonna definitely check into this to validate check engine lights, anything that I have fixed, anything that's pending or intermittent. You know, I'm gonna keep this in mind, because I thought this feature was simply like inspection readiness. You know, I didn't know I can manually input the code and check it out, because I was reading in the service information, service data, and I thought it was like only accessible for Toyota techs. No, I actually have that. So all readiness, and you can put in the check engine light code, and then this right here would force check the check engine light. But anyway, I digress. So I just learned something new. This is fixed, 100 miles. Let me go back out, look under the hood, make sure everything's fine there. Computer, everything's working out. I got the customer's key. She had 2 keys, both of them start up fine. So whatever I did didn't delete or add any keys. I didn't have to program anything else. All I had to do was do that jumping of the wire from the ground to pin 13. That put it in a force reset mode, and everything acclimated and worked out. And I definitely I had to put the VIN number in there, so I did do that. So this is a lesson learned. I don't care what vehicle I get, what kind of case I get, everything's going to be unique in their own way. One thing I'm glad I have Identifix. That saved my life, because you have to have service information, and then I have bidirectional scan tools, and so to be able to program and put in VINs, nobody had to come do anything for me. I was able to do this all on my own like a big boy. Let me cut this car off. But just from general knowledge and how PCMs can fail, and it's fickle as far as checking like the 5-volt reference. You know, I gave you a backstory on that, but it's still worth checking them. And I'm glad there's so many people that are smarter than me that I've looked at in the past, especially on YouTube. This is what it's for. Hopefully somebody can learn from my mistakes. Don't make the same mistake. And it's unfortunate that this issue happened on me and I had to get towed back. But I'm glad it happened on me, my watch, and not the customer's watch, to where they'll feel pretty indifferent about me. Luckily, the facility I deal with, Keystone, had a computer available. It worked perfectly fine, surprisingly, and everything worked out. What more can I say? I'll keep you updated if anything happened. Hopefully this helps with my credibility, because who am I? I'm just some guy on the internet. I'm not that bright, and I was able to get this fixed. And ain't no telling what else is going to happen in the future. I know more about this car than what I want. Remember, this was the one with the water pump. Diagnosed that, even though we knew what was wrong with it. Extracted some data off of it. Wiring and stuff with Toyota. I'm a mass airflow sensor. I'm familiar with that. I'm just that much smarter. And I got a long way to go. But if anything happened, I'll definitely update. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, how to research my work. See you on the next one.